Welcome to the Sarasota County Eldercare Channel, brought to you by Mike Levine and the great folks of Home Instead of South Sarasota County. Today's guest is Robin Albright, life coach and author of 12 Tiny WellBeing Tips for Caregivers.
Welcome to the South Sarasota County Eldercare Channel. I'm Marianne Gordon with Home Instead, and today I'm here with author and life coach Robin Albright. Hi Robin, how are you?
Hi Marianne, nice to be here.
Thank you, and it's nice to have you. You've just written a book called 12 Tiny WellBeing Tips for Caregivers. Can you tell us about that book?
Sure. It's a kind of an interactive workbook, if you will, for caregivers to help them remember to take care of who they are as they take care of other people. So it's full of exercises and coloring pages. It's a bit therapeutic, if you will, and written, of course, from a life coaching business, because I'm a life and a business coach, that perspective. So the exercises are very much about self-awareness and just nurturing type exercises.
It sounds very interesting. How did you become interested in the topic of caregiving?
Well, I've actually my husband and I cared for my mom for 10 years prior to this last year when she passed away. But my husband, the biggest reason that I understand caregiving is because it became so very connected to my heart. When my husband became ill in 2012, he was diagnosed with a disease called BVFTD, which is behavioral variant frontal temporal degeneration, a form of dementia. And when that happened, it really hit home, so to speak. And so I all of a sudden realized how hard it was to be a caregiver. I think I cried for 2 years straight, maybe 3. I don't know, it was hard.
I know.
Yeah.
But now you're sharing what you've learned with other people. So that's important, sharing.
It is. It's sort of therapeutic for me to do that.
That's great.
Right?
So you're talking about some of the hurdles in your book that caregivers face. Can you tell me about those?
Right. Yes, there are so many. And actually in the book, in the beginning, I tell a little bit about our story and the hurdles that we faced personally. But then I created exercise in it that help caregivers really remember who they are throughout the journey. So the biggest thing I think that happens is we lose who we are. We all of a sudden become so aware of caring for somebody else that we forget who we are. And so that's one challenge. I think other challenges that we particularly faced were financial challenges, challenges around relationships, because a lot of people don't understand what's going on and don't know how to help, and they just back away.
Right.
And so there are challenges like that, the health challenges. I think the caregiver, I just heard a statistic the other day that said 67% of caregivers actually pass away before the ones they care for do, because it's so hard and so stressful. So those are the types of things that I think we all face as a caregiver.
And I think caregivers tend to neglect themselves. There's so many different emotional things, and you talk about those in your book. And then there's the physical things that you don't think about, picking somebody up, transferring them from a chair to bed. That is physical. And if you're not prepared for that, or if you don't have help, I would imagine you're going to lose some of yourself physically and emotionally. So let's go through some of the tips, because I'm very interested.
Okay.
What should a caregiver do to keep themselves physically and emotionally whole?
Well, I'll just name a few. Of course, there's a tip in there about eating healthy and exercising, because that's definitely something that before I was a caregiver is a challenge to remember to do sometimes. But there are also tips like letting go of the past and accepting the present. Because as a caregiver, we often want to just really think, I guess we tend to overemphasize the past and what we've lost.
Right.
Rather than say, okay, here we are, this is the present, and let's move forward from here. So there's a tip in there about that. There's a tip in there about letting go of stressful situations. Because often maybe we've taken care of people around us, neighbors that need a ride here or there, But all of a sudden, when you become a caregiver, you've got to really focus on taking care of the one you love, but also taking care of yourself. And sometimes the outside world and the things that you maybe donated your time for may not fit into your situation now. And it's okay to let go of those things to take care of where you are now. There are things like just taking care of your future even, and who you want to be as you move forward. There are 12 of them, and they're just all little wonderful tips, and they all have exercises and coloring pages to go with them. So
there's a couple things that I think of, having had experience as a caregiver myself, but one of the things was when I tried to do things for myself, like go out and have somebody watch my loved one while I went out, I felt guilt.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Guilt, I think, is just a big portion of it. And that is one thing. That's why I wrote this, because I noticed how that was something that I was doing more and more of, feeling guilty and guilty and guilty. And I thought, there's one part in here that says own your emotions, basically, that it's to respect them. And I think that whenever you become a caregiver, it's surprising how all of your emotions show up. And I think that we tend to feel guilty about our emotions, the way we feel. And so yes, very much guilt is one of those emotions. And I think that as I said, it's just one of many that shows up because we're desperately trying to survive through something that we didn't expect, right? So
the other thing that comes up is, and I think you've covered this in your book also, is enlisting the help of other people. Personally, as a caregiver, I did not want anyone to do anything. I can do this all myself. And then all of a sudden, bam, you hit the wall. And how do we avoid hitting that wall and being open to asking for assistance?
Well, it's funny. Unlike you, I wanted everybody to help me. I was like, please, somebody come in and help, And it was almost to the point that I had to let go of the fact that I needed it. Well, not that I needed them, but that I expected people to be right there with me, and I had to accept that it was my own journey. But once I did that, I also realized it was okay to ask for help. So I found support groups, and that's been big in my life since my husband became ill, as I go to 3 different support groups.
Okay, into the community, great.
And I found, it's funny because the people that you expect to hang out with you and hang around you and support you are not always the people that show up when someone gets ill. So I've also made it my mission to find a tribe of people that are my friends and support. So I have the support groups, and then I have this amazing tribe of people that want to hang out with me. And so I think it's really important to take the time needed to find those groups for yourself, and not feel guilty about that time, especially because you do need other people to support you in this.
Well, I also wanted to ask you, we're getting to the end of the interview, but how do you plan on marketing your book, and who will you be marketing that book to?
My plan is to begin doing presentations. First I have to get it printed, and I'm working on that through a Kickstarter program, but once it's printed, then my plan is to begin doing presentations and put the book at the back of the room, sell it, and there are a lot of parts of that I don't quite have figured out, but I do know I love presenting, and so I'm going to go out there and try to help as many caregivers as I can.
Just like caregiving, everything's a journey.
Isn't it?
It is.
Yes, it is.
Robin, it was such a pleasure having you here today and sharing your book with us. Please come back and let us know how things go as this marketing process continues. Thank you for watching the South Sarasota County Eldercare channel. I'm Mary Ann Gordon with Home Instead. Until next time.